How would you explain strategy in succinct English?
Strategy in succinct English. What's ironic about that word is succinct is actually kind of hard to say when that's the very definition of it is being clear. Really, strategy is having a point A and a point B. This is where I am. This is where I want to be. This is how I get there. This right here in the middle is your strategy. What does that look like? What are your big rocks? What are the boulders you have to move to get to where you want to be? And in a long-term strategy, it widens. That point A to point B goes way wider. And we got to be able to zoom into this segment and get here first. And then we have to zoom out and get into here next until we get to that big picture. So you have to start big picture, 60,000 feet in the air, looking down on everything. Then and only then can you figure out the moves that need to be made to go to that next benchmark. And benchmarks never stop. The goalpost is always moving because what you want today is going to be different than what you want tomorrow, but you have to be cohesive and at least be in the same ballpark. Things are going to be moving, changing, bobbing, weaving. That is the nature of business. That is the nature of entrepreneurship.
Why is strategy the foundation of business? And why do so many business owners misunderstand what their own strategy actually is? How to get from point A to point B?
Well, strategy is the foundation of business by definition. I mean, if you don't have a strategy, you're just going to be going around in circles and wonder why you're not getting anywhere. So that doesn't even need to be discussed. I think everybody knows why strategy is the foundation. It's literally the definition. The reason people get distracted from the strategy, A, they didn't write it down and put it in front of them so they see it every day. But more importantly, they get distracted by the shiny object syndrome. I know what I want. I've laid out this plan to get there, but something over there caught my attention. Or my friends wanted to hang out when I should have been doing something else. They don't take the time to follow the plan if they even lay one out. So either you didn't lay one out or you did and you simply didn't follow it. And I personally suggest laying that plan out, putting it on your computer, on your desktop. Actually, let me show you this right here. This is my desktop, a project I am currently working on that I see every day. This is my big strategy right here. This is my house. I'm currently building this house in Western North Carolina. You can see the view out there. It is a big picture goal of mine that I constantly see every single day that I sit at my computer. So what you can do personally, write it out into a keynote slide, write it out into a piece of paper and take a picture of it and make it your background on your computer. Now you see it every day. You get smacked in the face with it every day. You know what that big picture vision is, and then you could open up a file wherever you keep it that actually has the steps laid out. Or don't. That's what I do.
What do you think the most logical steps a business owner and operator can take to build out a strategy so that they can lay it in front of them?
The most logical thing a business owner can do when it comes to laying out a strategy is just be raw and real with yourself and don't overcomplicate. Don't overthink it. Figure out what it is that you want, what it is you're trying to get, and then reverse engineer back from there. Lay it out. One of my favorite things to do is to, as I said, you got point A, you got point B. My old mentor taught me, frown face, happy face, right? This is my frown face, where I'm at right now. I'm not happy with my current predicament. And then over here is smiling, happy. I got what I wanted. We're all good, right? Now, what are those major steps in between that you have to lay out? What are the milestones to get you from point A to point B, from frown face to happy face? Now you've got 3, 4, 5, several major steps. And within each of those major steps, you want to make minor steps that are related to that specific major step. All right? So you have the big picture, the major steps within it, and the minor steps within each one of those. If that concept, in just hearing it, kind of relates to you, leave a comment on this video. Let me know, because I could easily put together a little training on that concept and how to better lay out a plan to get you from point A to point B, because let's be honest, it's not exactly rocket science, but you do need to see it visually sometimes. So if you want that, let me know in the comments.
So now Michael Porter, the economist and the professor at Harvard, says, quote, strategy is about choosing what not to do and who not to serve. Dan, what actionable steps, if any, can be concluded as to how to take action on this philosophy for our small business audience?
I mean, I think the most actionable step to, what was his name, Michael Porter? The most actionable step to adhering to Michael Porter's advice about what not to do and who not to serve is to really internalize that statement. Everybody goes out there chasing money and chasing big vision, big dreams, and they need money to make it happen and yada, yada, yada. But for example, the best example I can give is broke people are the worst clients you could possibly have. If you're working as a budget service provider and you are serving broke people, you will have headache after headache after headache. You will always be working inside of your business versus working on your business. However, if you position yourself in the market to be an authority, you can command higher prices, which means better clients. Some of the worst clients I've ever worked with were always the one thing they always have in common is they are the lowest paying. On the flip side, the best, highest paying clients I have, I hear from the least, right? This is not the rule by any means, but it is my general experience. One of the memes I saw one time was, $300 client. Hey, before I send this money over, I really need you to understand how much our lives are going to change and how much this is really going to be a big deal and this and that. And I want you to be prepared for what's to come. That's a $300 client. The $5,000 client, they respond with, hey, money sent, thanks. And I related so heavy with that little meme because I've lived it so much. And I get it. People are scared and they're nervous. They don't want to charge more. They feel like they're ripping people off even. Whatever your objection to charging more might be, I can promise you life will be easier if you're able to get over it and get over that hump to where you actually start valuing your position and what it is you've got going on in business.
So now with that being said, if someone says that their strategy and their goal is to be the best version of their specific type of company, their specific industry, what would your response be that vague of a point be?
Well, you just said it. It's a vague point. It's too esoteric. It's too out there, and that I want to be the best version of myself is not a goal. That is just a statement, right? A goal is I want to run a marathon by the spring, right? That is a goal. A goal is something that can be quantified. It can be said. It can be shown. It can be proven. Anything less than that is just quite simply a statement. That's what we're talking about here. At the end of the day, we're talking about quantifiable goals and the strategy it's going to take to achieve them. If you put some sort of esoteric statement out there, you can't develop a strategy. There is no strategy to becoming a better person. There's things you can do to become a better person, but if there's not something you can quantify at the end, what are we doing here? We're just spinning wheels and hoping for the best. Strategy. Let's say you've had your strategy, you've laid it out, you got your point A to point B, you've written down your major steps, you've listed all of the minor steps, and now it's time to actually do the work. Okay? How do you approach that? Quite simply, without being too boring about this, is discipline. Or cliche. And it's cliche to say, but it is discipline. It's getting up in the mornings and doing the damn work based on your strategy. If, let's say you are out playing football with Tom Brady, right? Arguably the greatest of all time. You're out there with Tom Brady, and he said, you're like, what am I going to do? I'm with Tom Brady. I'm nervous. I don't know how I'm going to actually execute on this. Tom Brady says, here is the playbook. This is what I'm going to do. These are the plays. This is where I'm going to throw the football, right? Are you going to take that playbook from Tom Brady and do something different? Run a different route? Or are you going to take that playbook and follow it to the exact science? That playbook is the plan. Your playbook is going to be your strategy. Point A to point B, major step, minor step, right? That is the whole point. So once you've laid that out, step one, step two is to discipline and relentlessly pursue execution on those minor steps within each major step from point A all the way to point B. Now, once we've gotten to point B, that quantifiable goal, I can say, okay, I made it. Let's reevaluate. What is the next goal? All right. Every day you're alive, you're breathing air, you're doing things. You're going to constantly be moving those goals. But we have to get to the first goal before we can go to the next goal. And a lot of us, to really put a button on this whole point, a lot of us end up chasing all of these goals at once, and we get a whole lot of nothing done instead of one specific thing in the done pile so we can move on to the next. Get that done, then proceed.
So in building out your own playbook, if you don't have a playbook that's given to you and you want to get from, I have all of these different things I need to focus on, a whole bunch of different ideas, to I want to put something in the done pile, how do you prioritize what you would like to put in the done pile?
Prioritizing well, at the end of the day, putting stuff in the done pile feels good. That's the dopamine. No, I got something done. That's why so many of us fall back to our just small rock to-do list. If you watched the last episode, I talked about small rocks, medium rocks, and big rocks. The big rocks are the goals. They're the major steps that are going on your path to your goal, to your business achievements, right? The small rocks are the daily to-dos. It's easy to get stuck in the to-do list with the small rocks because it feels good, but we have to be able to see that bigger picture so that we can continuously work on the bigger rocks and getting those into the done pile. So if you find at the end of the day, you've just been doing frivolous, busy work, what is that doing towards the big picture? Ask yourself, be real with yourself. Or another good example would be to get an accountability buddy, is what I like to call them. That means finding somebody, a spouse, a brother, a friend that says, hey, you want to be my accountability buddy? I need you to pay attention to what I'm doing and hold me accountable. This is what I'm trying to do. Here's my roadmap. Here's my strategy. Here's what I've got going on. Would you please hold me accountable and make sure I'm doing this stuff in order? And if I'm not, I want you to be real with me. That's what we call an accountability buddy.
Find your accountability buddy. Set your big rocks, set your small rocks, and figure out how you get from point A with the frown face of where you're at right now to point B, and how to take micro steps to figure out how to internalize and process through that big picture and that big route, and then set a farther route.
At the end of the day, this ain't rocket science. It's just discipline. I don't care what business you're in. And some of you watching this right now or listening to this right now, you might already be in business and this is all way past you. This doesn't just apply to business. This applies to your marriage situation. This applies to raising your kids. This applies to saving for a vacation, whatever the case, right? If you're trying to save for a big family vacation, point A is I don't have the money right now. Point B is the vacation. What are the major steps within it, right? Major step 1, spend less than you make each week. Cool. All right. What are the micro steps on there? Budget. Have a conversation with your spouse about the budget. Minor step 3, let the kids know that, hey, we're saving for something big. Get them invested. All right. Major step 2 is going to be researching the location you want to go. So on and so forth. You just work on down the list. So again, this isn't all just business related. This is just life in general. I've read countless communication books and strategy books and all of these different things, and they teach me all of this stuff about business. But communication doesn't just apply in business. Communication applies across the board, right? If I'm trying to get my kid to go to sleep at 9 o'clock because that's their bedtime, that's me working in sales. I'm trying to sell that kid on the idea that it's in his best interest to go to bed at 9 o'clock. That is a sale. Whether you're selling to an account manager or to your children, you still work in sales. That's what this stuff's all about. Next one is going to be the perils of deviating from that strategy, right? Because now we've built it. We got an idea of what we're going to do. We're able to quantify it. The next video, part 3, we're going to release here soon, if it's not out already when you watch this, is going to be about staying focused and the perils of deviating from that. So keep in mind, I'm talking in a very 60,000-foot view, right? If you reach out to me, we have a conversation, now we're at the 45,000-foot view. Okay. We get on the phone. We're at a 30,000. We start working together. It's a 15,000 view. Now we're taking the plane in for a landing. All right. I didn't just make this stuff up. I've read this stuff in books. I've studied it. I've done it. I've lived it. I've built it. All right. I know this because it is actual, objectively real things and my experiences with them. So thanks so much for listening. We'll check you next time.